If you play traditional grip, a doorknob can actually help you improve your drumming. So how does it do that? Well, this is a little tip that I learned from Jeff Queen, who's like 4-time world champion snare drummer. One of the things that he said is that you can actually work on your endurance, your speed, your overall left hand strength, etc. by using a doorknob that has resistance. So one that will automatically snap back to its starting position because it's got a little spring inside of it. To work on this, you just kind of put it in between your middle finger and your ring finger, and you work on rotating your forearm, and this will work on your endurance, your strength, your speed, etc. So actually in between sets in rehearsal, if the instructors were talking up top, I would just sit there and do this, or even walk around in school with my doorknob going, which I'm sure made me tons of friends. But you know what? I got better at drumming, and that's what I cared about more than what people thought about me walking around with a doorknob. When you're preparing for a world-class drumline, what they're not looking for is whether or not you have chops. They're going to assume you've got chops. What they're going to look for is consistency with your playing. It doesn't matter how fast you can play it. If every single time you play it, it sounds different. So when you're preparing for auditions, don't just focus on how fast you can play, focus on how consistently you can play by listening in. And because there's like 2,000 hours of free play alongs that you can use on my website, which is linked above, you can find a bunch of stuff that you can use to practice listening in to help you prepare for things. And you can slow it down as slow as 20 beats a minute or as fast as 240. But again, spend most of your time practicing it slow and develop that consistency rather than just trying to push your hands to play fast. The advanced stick control with filler. This one is phenomenal for working on your singles and whatnot. And it switches between a duple and a triple feel while you fill it in. So your goal is to make it so that the check pattern that you're playing, like right, 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 left, remains the same when you fill it in with the other hand. And then it switches to a triplet version of that same thing, right, right, left, and then dig-a-da-da. So it's good to take little mental breaks like in your practice session. One way you can do it is called the Pomodoro technique, where you'll do like a set period of work time and then a set break, and you'll see you'll set timers for these. So it might be like, I'm going to work for 25 minutes, take a 5-minute break, or 50 minutes and take a 10-minute break, where you just kind of walk away from the drums. So when I would teach like drum lines and whatnot, or even like elementary band, like back in the day, one of the things that I would do is just take like a little minute or two to just kind of tell a funny story, or to just kind of like chat with the members of the ensemble. And then, all right, let's continue. And then we're able to go back at it again. Sometimes those little like 30-second, 2-minute breaks, whatever, however long it is, can be great for just kind of like pressing F5 and refreshing your brain a little bit and then going, cool, let's get back into drumming again or making music, however it was. Here we go, diddle timing. So we've got diddle on 1, diddle on 2, diddle on 3, and then a combo platter of all 3. Diddle on 1, 2, and 3. Now, the way that this exercise works is you'd play a diddle on 1, but a slurred out version, then a normal interpretation, and then a rushed version, and then a normal interpretation. And it does that for each of these different variants. So we have slurred, normal, rushed, normal for diddle on 2, and same thing for diddle on 3. Slurred, normal, rush, normal, diddle on 2, slurred, normal, rush, normal, diddle on 3. And then a synthesis, all 3 of the patterns back to back, normal interp. I left off the diddle. I don't know what the deal is with our dogs, like, historically wanting to get close to you when you drum. I had a dog who would sit right next to me when I practice drum kit, like, squeeze yourself in between the wall and the hi-hat. Had another dog who would lay right behind you when you play marimba. Super cute. Minnie just wants to walk underneath the drum pad while I'm playing. So this exercise is called Paradiddle-diddle zoom zoom. So it starts off with the Swiss sticking, and then it goes into Paradiddle-diddle. So what this phrase is basically like the last section of a Paradiddle-diddle. Then you do a Paradiddle stop, and you do it all off your left. The second half of the exercise has Hurtas, which is basically like a skeleton of the Paradiddle-diddle. So you're getting rid of the diddle, and you're just playing right. You're getting rid of this diddle, and you're just playing the left. And then this exercise is called Paradiddle zoom zoom. My wife named it. I think it's hilarious. So this is the same idea where you're taking like basically one half of a paradiddle and you play through it, and then you play the other half of a paradiddle and you play through it. So these are great ways that you can work on speeding up your paradiddles and paradiddle-diddles. And you can find this at the technique section of the link at the top of the screen. Just scroll all the way back down here, and it's down under the rudiment zoom zooms underneath technique. So back when I used to teach drumline, one of the things that I'd do is like a pre-warm-up, warm-up. Just kind of like set a metronome and then just have everybody play whatever they want, as long as it fits within the 16th notes and 32nd notes within that. So you could play stickings, you could play flams, you could play cheeses, whatever you wanted to play. One of the reasons for that was it like woke up the hands, but it also woke up the brain. So we were basically warming up our hands just to get the blood flowing, but also making it so that we kind of like just refocused. So when I was working with drum lines, if I were to just like start with like a warm up where everyone's playing the exact same thing and we haven't woken up our brains and our hands, then it could just kind of like lead to some negative effects. So for my own time, the 10 plus years that I worked with drum lines, I found that the best way to do it was do a little warm up before your actual full group warm up where everyone's like playing the same thing. But we're gonna play it at pianism so we can make it an ASMR shopping spree. It's weird, but it gets the view. If you want to play to that, or, you know, one of the several hundred free exercises, jaredoleary.com/drum. If I were to pick one thing for people to play for like an audition, it'd be to play flam accents on 1 at 40. Why? Because people might be able to play like their favorite shopping spree at like 150 BPM, but playing this and controlling each one of the notes, especially these without really squeezing it, woo, this is way harder than just playing a spree fast. Then we can really see how are your grace notes, how's the timing of them, how is the height of them, etc., etc. So again, I highly recommend playing this stuff slow, and you can just go to the timestamps for any one of the exercises. There's 1,300 hours on my website, but just click on them and boom, it'll take you to it. If it's 0s and 5s at the end of it, it'll give you a few seconds to kind of get ready so you can get your sticks all set up, and then it taps it off for you. 150, is like, where's it at? I don't see it. That's because you didn't get to the high enough number, Jared. Still learning how to count. I have a PhD, but it's not in counting. If you want to play along to the float drag variations, as well as a few more, and over 1,500 hours of free drumming content, over 600 grid variations, over 100 bass permutations to work on your march and bass stuff, go to the link at the top of the screen, jaredoleary.com/drum. It's all free.